Oh, we're live streaming. Okay, cool.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome, welcome. I'm excited. I have a special guest with me here today. And before I bring on Jane, I will introduce myself again if we haven't met yet, or say hello again. How you doing? So my name is Megan Nolan, and I am so passionate about helping you to go from being overwhelmed and overworked to energized and empowered by using the tools of yoga to make yourself and your health a priority. So while I know that I can help you with that part of your being, there's so many other aspects to you as well as you as a business owner. And so it's such an honor to bring in special guests to be able to share their magic with you and share powerful tools and help you to bust through myths that might be keeping your sales conversations a little stuck and awkward. So we're going to talk about that today with Jane. So before I bring her on, I want to read her bio. So Jane Garee is known as the sales strategist for non-sales persons who works with clients so they can serve more people, make more money, and realize their biggest dreams through their impact and influence, all while having fun. So she is known to bring exceptional knowledge and expertise to clients who desire a collaborative partner in creating higher conversions and building better buyer relationships throughout the entire sales process. So that sounds incredible, doesn't it? So let's welcome her on. Hello. Hi, Jane. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing over there in the Aloha stage?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So why don't you just give us a little intro to you and where you are on the planet? I'm just going to make sure everything's working while you do that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, where am I on the planet? What's today? So I travel around a lot, but today I'm actually coming to you from our family lake house on Lake Cumberland, Kentucky. So beautiful spot. I tend to spend a lot of time here during the summer. Home base for me is actually Cincinnati, Ohio, but I'm rarely there. So I'm usually out and about somewhere on the planet because traveling is really a huge passion of mine.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so why don't we talk, we'll just jump right in about how we can improve our sales conversations by making them less awkward and complicated. So let's talk about that. And as you guys arrive, let us know how you're doing. If you have any questions as we go, definitely drop them in the chat. And as well, Jane is in our community. And so if you have any questions for her about anything that she shares, definitely connect to her through this post or directly, and she'll be able to answer your questions for you. So let's talk about that. So I know there's a lot of myths around sales and conversations and, discovery calls, clarity calls, whatever you call them. So can we talk about some of the myths that are flying about that we can start to bust?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to put it into context, especially for your amazing community, is this concept that a sales conversation is really holistic. It's part of who you are. It's not something that you have to do. It's not some persona that you have to become. And so just like yoga is a part or a piece of what creates overall wellness in you, that's what I really believe about a sales conversation. It is a conversation that is a piece or part of what creates a whole and a holistic business. So kind of a 0.5 myth, if you will, that I didn't intend on talking about, but I really do want to address it here, especially in this community, is in the coaching and consulting world for people who are in the health and wellness space, the healers, the empaths, the people that are doing really big work on the planet, and they have a business doing the work, but their business isn't the business of business. This is where it becomes a really big deal. Because I work with a lot of these people, these types of people are a lot of my clients, and they struggle probably more than most people in having a conversation that feels genuine and authentic, not because they struggle with being genuine and authentic, but because the whole concept of I have to get on the phone or have this conversation with somebody, and at the end I need their money or their credit card, and do I really have to do that? I just want to help people. And that is a good instinct, and all of that is actually very, very good. So for you in particular, if you do struggle with that, I have really good news for you, because I really hope, Megan, by the end of our time together here today, for people who are feeling like that, you're going to have a complete mind shift around it and realize you can be who you are. In fact, I'm always going to encourage you to use the superpower of who you are. And that actually is your superpower, showing up as you with all your gifts and your strengths and your talents. So I just wanted to preface everything with that, because that's really that's kind of the core of what I teach and how I teach when it comes to sales.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. Cause I think that sometimes we feel like we have to put on our salesperson hat or, costume, and then it starts
Yeah.
to, that's why maybe it feels awkward and inauthentic, right? Cause you're not really being yourself in that moment.
You're not really being yourself. Yeah. So no more of that. Nobody ever has to do that again. In fact, I would caution you to not do that. Intentionally don't do that. Intentionally be who you are and show up as yourself. And whoever that is perfect for the person that you're going to be talking to. So if you feel like you should be peppier, don't be peppier. If you feel like you should dial yourself down, don't dial yourself down. Really be who you are, because that's the biggest thing you've got going for you. So, okay. So I did want to talk about 3 myths. Should I just get into number 1?
Yep.
Okay. So first myth is actually my favorite because it's the most kind of jarring or shocking. And so here it is. Myth number 1 is you have to be good at closing. You do not have to be good at closing. Now, I want to frame this up a little bit. So if we're going to define closing as, at the end of a conversation, both of you agree, you and your prospective client has now agreed to become a client, and you are going to exchange your service for their investment, then okay, yes, you want to make sure that that does happen with the right people, because if you don't do that, then you don't have a business. You actually have an outreach or a charity, and you don't want to do that if you are in business. So what is the number 1 goal? If you have a business, you've got to be profitable. Great. So we need to accept that. However, what has happened over the years, over the decades really, is there's become this misnomer that coffee's for closers. You got to get in there and close. You got to make sure you close that deal, get the money, walk away with the money, the credit card, and there's all this artificial pressure that's put on you as the business owner, which I use synonymously with salesperson, but it puts all this artificial pressure on you as the business owner and your prospective client. Because if you go in there with the intention that I am going to close this deal, really not the best way to head into the conversation. So a couple things. Number 1, I always like going to the dictionary and looking at what is the technical definition of anything. So the technical definition of sales or selling is just an exchange of one good or service for another good or service. And I mentioned earlier how much I love to travel, and this particular concept of it really hit home. I was last year sometime, I was in Tennessee at this old trading post, and they do the most magnificent breakfast there. And their menu had the story of the restaurant. And so I knew it was a trading post because on the menu, it talked about this was ye old trading post, and the settlers and the pioneers used to come here and they would exchange flour and salt and, whatever you exchange in pioneer and settling days for somebody else's goods or services, right? So Megan, if you had eggs and milk and a goat, and I had flour and wheat and barley and a chicken, we might say, hey, I like your stuff. I like what you have. How do you feel about what I have? Okay, great. Do we feel it's on parity? It makes sense. It would feel like it was a good exchange if here's my stuff and I'll take your stuff. And if the answer to that is yes, then guess what just happened? A sale. That's all it ever really is. It's just an exchange of one good or service for another. And we could do it in modern times. So Megan, I love coffee. If you had this really amazing coffee cup and I had this tricked out pen, same thing. We could exchange that. Technically, that is a sale. So what has happened over the years is that when the money is attached to it, instead of a true barter, people get freaked out. That's where all this stress starts to come up, because instead of you like my pen, I like your mug, let's swap, it becomes you like my pen, I'm going to have to charge you. Now I'm going to have to ask for money. Now I start feeling guilty. Now I start feeling bad. And this is really unfortunate because the value of what you bring as a business owner, it's huge and it can't be underestimated. And all somebody is saying when they're saying yes to working with you is please take my money, otherwise known as the goods or the service I have on me at the moment, in exchange for what you're providing. So number 1, you do not have to be good at closing, because number 1, you're probably tripped up on what that actually means. It's just an exchange. So that's the first thing I want to let everybody know about closing. The second thing about closing is people get confused between objective and goal. And this is, I think, what creates this artificial pressure around closing. So an objective are the things that you do to reach the goal. The goal is what happens as a result of adhering to the objectives. So if I want to lose 10 pounds and by next month, let's say, that's my goal. I don't get up every day though and say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. What I would do is get up every day and say, I'm going to watch my nutrition today. I'm going to make sure that I work out. I'm going to make sure that I weight train, whatever my objectives are. There are a series of things I'm going to implement so I can reach my goal. But if I got up every day and said, well, is today the day I lost 10 pounds? Did I lose 10 pounds? Did I lose, that again, artificial pressure, right? So it's not about the goal. It's not about the goal. And it's certainly not about that goal in a sales conversation. Your objective is to have a really deep, rich, thought-provoking conversation where you ask a lot of deep, rich, thought-provoking questions, and you help somebody get to clarity and you help somebody get to their truth. When that happens, as a result, very frequently, you will have secured a new client. So I really want people to understand this, because I truly think this one thing, if you get that and you embrace that and you have every conversation focused on your objective, which is, am I facilitating a conversation that is allowing someone to get clear and to get to their truth, then you will actually start to make plenty of sales, because you're not trying to wrap them up and lock them up and close them. You're trying to facilitate a conversation where they can get to their truth.
That totally makes sense. And it changes the energy around it for me, even just listening to you talk about it, it's like, and I think that's it, is that we forget, that it's really building a relationship and you're getting to know somebody and you're wanting to be able to have that experience, that interaction, that connection, and have it be like, okay, does it make sense for us to work together, rather than a high pressure, like, I got to get all the sales, I got to do all the things, because sometimes we do need to say no, right? And sometimes it's not going to be a good fit. And so that really sounds like, with the conversation and the questions you're asking, can really help to kind of guide you to that, whether or not it's going to be a fit, if you even want to like present the opportunity to work with somebody. Because if it doesn't feel good, then it's, not going to be great in the end.
No, it's not going to be great in the end. And that actually is kind of funny, because that wasn't a setup, but that is point number 2, or myth number 2. So myth number 2 is you always have to make an offer. Don't do that. Do not always make an offer. You should get a feeling, and you should also have some logical, you'll get logical information or a logical input, and you'll have an intuitive feeling about whether or not this is somebody that you want to work with. And there are people that are going to be a perfect technical fit for what you do, meaning they have a problem that you can solve and you believe you're the best person to solve that problem, but there's just something off kind of in the personality or the chemistry. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It's just me, it's not gonna be there. It's kind of the dreads, I call it. You look at your phone and you go, oh no, it's my client Megan. This isn't. It's always something with her. What's up? As opposed to, oh cool, look at this, it's Megan, or Megan's on my calendar today. I'm super excited to talk to her, and not okay, I got her at 3:00, that kind of thing. So myth number 2 is you always have to make an offer. Please stop doing that. You do not have to make an offer. And I would actually err on the side of, if I'm not feeling it, I wouldn't say no right away, but that would warrant a longer, more in-depth conversation. And at that point, it really becomes, you tell me why you think we're going to be a good fit, because I'm actually not quite sure. So I always liken this to dating, and women, we're notorious for this, right? So we go out on a date, and I want you to imagine the date that you had with, if he's your husband, him, the first date you had with him, or your partner, first date you had with him, right? And if not, just imagine the most amazing, best looking person, guy you've ever seen in your life, and you're sitting across the table from him, and you're just, everything's going, right? You're going, oh, I hope he really likes me. I hope is he gonna ask me out again? What does he think about me? What does he think about the way that I look? Do I sound funny? Do I sound cute? Do I sound smart? What does he think of me? What does he think of me? And really, the more appropriate question in that moment would be, what do I think about him? What do I think about what do I think about how he's showing up? Is he funny? Does he seem smart? Does he seem like he's emotionally available? Does he seem like he cares? Does he seem like he really wants to be here? What do I think about him? That's a far more powerful question to ask in dating and life And certainly in the sales conversation, you don't want to have this desperation of, I've got to get this deal closed. I've got to make sure I ask this person to work with me. I've got to make the offer. And I hope they say yes. It's the same thing if you're out on a date. I don't know that much about you at this point. I don't know that I want to have a 4-course meal, let alone a lifetime together, because I'm not quite certain of who you are and if we're actually a good fit for each other. So myth number 2 is you always have to make an offer. You don't. I want you to be very conscientious about, is this somebody that I want to work with? Does this feel like somebody who wants to work with me? Do they have a very real problem that I'm going to be able to provide the solution for? Am I the best person to provide the solution? And when I see them show up on my calendar and I'm dealing with them, is it going to light me up or is it going to suck the life out of me? So you don't always have to make an offer.
Okay, that's good to remember, because I think too, it changes the energy, like I said, but it's a really important understanding that you always get to make that call. And yes, if we're going into it with the energy of like, oh, I need more clients, and then it sends out a different signal than like, let's just explore this and see if this is a good fit. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was number 2. So Brandy says, only work with people who feel good or you'll start to hate your business. Yeah.
It's no more this pick me. No more pick me. It's do I want to pick you? Do we want to go into partnership together? Because make no mistake, especially in the coaching and consulting industry, we are delivering what it is that we are selling. So this isn't, here's the budget, ring it up on the cash register, walk out and it's somebody else's problem. Not that you ever want to do that anyway, but specifically in what we do, it's we have agreed to work together, which means we are now working together for a month, 3 months, 6 months. So most of us in the coaching and consulting space, we work with people for a pretty significant period of time. So it really is just like any relationship. Is this relationship going to flourish and grow and feel good? Or are we going to start damaging each other? Right. So I don't know about you, but I've dated men where we flourished and grew together. It just didn't work out. Did I say growed? We flourished and grew together and it just didn't work out. And then I've absolutely dated men. It's like, we need to get away from each other because this is going down fast for both of us. And that's what happens in even a coaching relationship. It's not going to serve you and it's not going to serve them. And then it's just kind of a double whammy of it, there's nothing good about that. You know, both people are starting to go downhill.
Yeah, I think we've all probably been in that situation, both with clients and dating. So let us know in the comments if you can totally relate to that, and you don't have to name names.
Right.
In fact, you're not naming any
names and phone numbers. No punishing anybody. I want to share something that I heard another coach say on this topic one time, and I thought it was so good, and yet I thought it was so off of really what I would prefer to have business owners think and believe, which is, he said, I always make an offer, always. And I said, okay, that's interesting. And he has a, huge multi-million-dollar business. And I said, why is that? And he said, because I really believe, and here we go, right? Then it became all about him, because I really, really believe that I can really help people. And I know that if they work with me, everything's going to change and they're going to be better. And it was like, he's coming at me with this really strong energy, and not to bash him. It's nothing about who he is as a person, but it was just this thought that I'm going to change somebody else's life, regardless of whether or not they actually want that. And I said, there you go. That's the problem. Even though he didn't say, I'm going to change somebody else's life, whether or not they want that, I did. And I said, that's partly where sales starts to get that bad reputation, because you're now in compelling mode. You're now in convincing mode, which, if you aren't careful, turns into coercion mode. And it is this belief that I don't care what you want. I want this for you, and I am going to change your life, even though you 100% are telling me you're not interested in it. So you want to be really sensitive to that. There are going to be people that you would love to work with. They are delightful. And they also would be a perfect fit for you because they have the problem that you can solve. And no matter what comes up in that conversation, no matter the beauty of the questions that you ask, they're 100% committed to just staying where they are. And that will happen sometimes. So the worst thing you can do is start coming in heavy on them and trying to get them to understand that they need to work with you and that everything's going to be different. It
Mhm.
should be a two-way invitation. If they're not open, ready, and willing to receive the help, or as we say, coachable in this industry, that is a problem down the road. So just because somebody's a great potential client and that you could help them, if they are that closed down to it, it's not going to have a happy ending. So don't go there. That's the whole thing. If you don't need to make an offer every time.
Mhm. Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of setting yourself up for struggle when somebody's that resistant.
Yeah.
So Brandy says, coaching is a partnership. Both of you need to be invested, engaged, and on the same page. Oh, I like that. And you even rhymed. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's myth number 3?
And then myth number 3 is you have to be really good at explaining and articulating what it is that you do.
Mhm.
I see this probably show up more than anything, because coaches and consultants, I can't say all of them, but certainly all of my ideal clients are incredibly passionate about the work that they do, because they know that it does change lives and they know that their work is transformative. And then they also happen to be people of passion, which means they're all excited to share what they do and how they do it and what the deliverables are and what it's going to look like to work with them.
Mhm.
And unfortunately for your prospective client, they're going to start checking out on you because all of that information starts to sound like Charlie Brown's mom, right?
Yeah.
Snooze, snooze. Let me hit the snooze button on here.
Right.
So brace
I think
yourself.
we can all say we've been guilty of that at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Sheena says she sucks at that. I can't explain it without losing them. I know, it's a practice, totally.
Yeah. Well, just because, so here's the good news for everybody. If you've gone down that road more than once, I have too. It's just because you're so passionate about the work that you do. And the world needs more people who are really passionate about the work that they do. So don't lose your passion. I don't want you to lose your passion ever. What I want you to do is just articulate what will happen for them as a result of working with you, instead of articulating what it is that you do. So when you
make it about that.
Yeah, when you do that, that's what people are really investing in. They're not investing in an hour one-on-one private consultation with you once a week and downloadable workbooks and group mentoring sessions. That's actually not what they're investing in. What they're investing in is, so Megan, I'll use you as an example. What they're investing in is feeling like $1 million when I get up out of the morning, because my body feels like it's working and ready to take on the day. Changing my mindset so that all throughout the day, I feel confident and happy and excited about my life. And that's because I've set my mind to be aligned with my body by nature of doing yoga in the morning or whatever. That's what people are investing in.
Mhm.
So if you're a writer downer, or if you just are even hearing this, I'm going to give you a really big tip here. So really, any of us at any time as the potential client, we're investing in one or more of these 5 things. Ready? More time, more money, more health, more love, more freedom, as that person would define it.
Mhm.
So more time, more health, more money, more love, more freedom, as that person would define it. That's what they're investing in. How you get them to that and how you deliver it, that's just the methodology. And people don't buy methodologies. They buy the transformation that happens to them as a result of going through the methodology.
So would you say that, so those 5 categories, for those of you that missed it, and somebody wants to put these in the chat because it's good for retention purposes: time, money, health, love, and freedom, as they would define it. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Sheena. So would you say that if you could figure out a way in a concise manner to describe what you do in relation to one or several of those, that would be a good way to communicate the value of what you can do for them and help them with?
I want to make sure I understand the question. So can you ask it again?
Yeah. So for example, for me or anybody that's here, if you could figure out a way to relate what you do for somebody back to one of these 5, would that be a good way to communicate what you do? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
what about if you could do it for all 5 of them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that objective in the conversation is really to determine which one or more of those 5 they're really going for. Which one or more of those 5 are they missing? Are they lacking? And which one or more of those 5 do they want more of, or just to get because they don't have any? And so how you do that is through a series of questions, which gets them to their truth. And so here's the thing, and my clients hear me say this ad nauseum, I say it all the time, and I'm going to say it here because to me, this is really, I came up with this language, I don't know, several years ago, but to me, this is really the crux of it. So here's the scoop. When you're in the middle of a conversation, or when you have a conversation with somebody, your whole job, your objective is to facilitate that conversation so they can get to their truth. And when I'm really hopped up, I say, so they can cut the nonsense and get to their truth. Because here's the thing, when you speak your truth, you hear it. When you hear it, you feel it. When you feel it, you own it. And it is in the moment of ownership of the truth that any one of us actually decides to do something. Decision could be, I'm going to do nothing, but that is a conscious decision. The decision most likely for most people is, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to stay broke. I don't want to be overweight and unhealthy. I don't want to be single forever. I'm trying to think of a lot of my clients and what they do. I don't want to no longer only be able to microwave food. I want to make fresh food. I don't want to do this anymore. That is my truth. And I'm telling it to you, Megan, the business owner. And when I'm telling it to you, I'm actually starting to feel it. And now when I'm feeling it, I'm going to own that, no more. It's time for me to do something about this and live a different life as a result. That's really what your job is in a sales conversation. So I truly believe selling it's sacred work. I mean, it's sanctifiable, that is a really big deal to get into that kind of conversation with somebody and have the privilege and the power to hold that kind of space for them, because enormously amazing things happen when people actually start speaking their truth.
Absolutely. And I love the perspective shift on that, because we probably all heard selling is serving, and that's an important component to having a business and growing a sustainable business. But when you're speaking to it in such a different way, I'd say, for me at least, hearing it this way is quite different, because you're really facilitating a conversation, a relationship, an opportunity for somebody to make these realizations on their own. And it's compelling in that sense, because then you can start to communicate what you do and offer value back to them in the form of your service, rather than being like, you need this, you got to buy it, come on. And that's why it feels icky. And so that's probably why we're like, oh, I don't want to be a used car salesman. I want to, be somebody who gives them the opportunity to own their truth and speak it. So I love that. Thank you. So that was some amazing myths that really start to hopefully open your eyes and make some shifts, and then maybe a little bit of homework as you can relate your value. So your unique service or collection of offerings that you have, if you can relate them back to those 5 points of time, money, health, love, and freedom as they define it, that really will start to help somebody begin to understand what you do beyond, I have 5 modules and this many workbooks and because nobody cares. I mean, maybe they do a little bit, but come on. It's really all about them.
If you need to be credentialed for certain disciplines or line of work, or licensed, or whatever the case may be, and people want to know that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
However, I say this all the time when I'm on big stages, I go, everybody, I'm glad you're sitting down, brace yourselves, because you're probably not going to like me. Don't throw anything up at the stage, but nobody cares how amazing you are. Nobody. What they care about is how amazing they will become as a result of working with you. That's what we're all investing in. Megan, if I work with you in yoga and your other disciplines, how am I going to feel, right? We're all inherently selfish, and in a normal way that's healthy. I don't mean in a bad way, but
no, it's not bad.
Healthier? Am I going to be happier? Am I going to be better? That's what I want to invest in, not how long you've been doing yoga and how long you've been an instructor, and that your mats are like rocking because they, I don't know, manufactured by NASA, or whatever. It's
we're not yoga mats.
No mats. We're mat free.
No mats. We float. We hover. Ooh, maybe I should make that part of my sales call. I can have you learn how to levitate.
No mats required here. We just levitate on life.
Right? Oh, that's funny. No, I agree. So wait, oh, so Sheena says, funny, I drew the sanctity card this morning. I was wondering how that would apply to me. Jane, you just spoke it to me. Oh, beautiful. That's good. Yeah, it is. And it is when we approach it in that different way, you know, and it's bringing awareness, bringing mindfulness, bringing the desire to connect with people. And for so many of the people in this community and the people that you serve as well, we are, if you will, purpose-driven, heart-centered, wanting to help the world, wanting to help people. And so really changing that sort of perspective on it, changing your mindset on these conversations will probably make it feel a lot more easeful, and therefore set the stage for it to go a lot better. Because if you're not feeling awkward and icky in it, then it can change how you feel, right? So I know you have, Sheena says, sign me up. Levitation, right? Levitation 101 starts on Friday. I don't know how to levitate, I gotta be honest. So would you share a little bit about your gift that you have for us, and what it can help people with, and who's it for?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is for anybody. This is for anybody who has their own one-on-one sales conversations or consultations or whatever we're calling them these days, or whatever you call it,
Right.
sessions, etc. Right. So if you are having those own conversations, you may like them, you may be pretty good at them already, and there's always the room for the next level of mastery. So if that is you, you'll love this gift. If you are still in a space where you're kind of struggling a little bit to have the conversations, you still get the you still get the shakes a little bit when you have to do them, or they feel frustrating, or just you're one of those, I know I can help these people, why are they not understanding why I can help them? Then this is also going to be a great gift for you. So there's an audio, a downloadable audio in there, and then there's also a downloadable fun book. I don't do anything if it's work. So I don't have workshops, I have fun shops. I don't have homework, I have home fun. I don't, so there's a fun book in there. There's a downloadable fun book, but it's a walkthrough exercise. And don't overthink this stuff. That's the other thing that I would say. This is really about having a connection, and it's really about having the confidence and also the grace to let the people come in and let them go. You're going to take a stand for them, don't get me wrong, but provision is forthcoming. People aren't paychecks, so don't treat them that way.
That's very important to remember. So that's good. Thank you. I appreciate everything you've shared today. So I put that in the comments below. So let us know what you are committed to taking action on after you grab the Selling is Serving resource from Jane. So thank you, everybody that was here live. For those of you that are going to catch the replay later on, definitely comment how you are going to start to kind of take what we've learned today and begin to shift it, right? So it's all well and good to learn new things, but it's really about integration and action and moving forward with it. So practicing that. So Sheena says, I never overthink. Yes, people are not paychecks. It's true, right? And it's so true. Yeah. So Jane, do you have any last little nuggets that you want to share as we wrap up?
I would love to hear. I love hearing from people personally. I have the best community on the planet. Megan, I'm sure you do too. I can tell already by what some of the people are putting in the chat. So when you implement, I would prefer to use that, when you implement, when you discover, you have an aha moment, anything like that. Or if you have further questions and you just want to explore some of these concepts, you can email me directly, and it's jane@showstoppingsales.com. So jane@showstoppingsales.com. I answer and look at everything personally. So it is me that is getting back to you. It's not somebody on my team. And then they have the URL for the free gift that's in the chat. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
And maybe after we hop off, I'll get you to go back in and just drop your email in there for people. Sure. But thank you so much. This has been so fun to chat with you. And so I hope that you found these myths helpful. I definitely did. I think it's always good for us to begin to reframe and come from a more authentic and aligned place, and recognizing that your gifts are important, and how you communicate that is very potentially impactful, or like you said, can turn you into Charlie Brown's mom, and you just sound because people zone out, right? So relate it back to them, how it can benefit them, their health, their time, their energy, all those good things. And because we know that you have magic to share, and I want to support you in that, which is why it's so great to have you here, Jane. And if you have any questions for Jane or about the Selling is Serving gift that she has, please feel free to reach out to her. As she said, she'd love to connect with you on email, or she is here in this community, so feel free to tag her as well. So thanks, everybody. It's been great to chat with you, Jane. And thank you for those of you here live. And we will definitely look forward to your aha takeaways. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody, and take good care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.